Now going into December, we got Titan Troy and Aaron Williams, Che Long and Shady Nitrous, and Riley Rocket. So December, as cold as it is, heating up. Now that we're done putting ourselves over, it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. And a lot of interesting things have happened in the last week. Um, Kairi, formerly known as Kairi Sane, is your new IWGP Women's Champion. Kaliko, your thoughts?
It, I'm honestly, I'm happy for her that she becomes the first. It kind of struck me out the blue that when she quit WWE, right? And to me, I thought it was because she just wanted to actually kind of take a like just end it completely and kind of be more on family. Because keep in mind when she left, it was like somewhere in the pandemic, right?
Yeah, there was
So
no shows going on. There was just the performance center shows.
right, so she left, and then we had the travel thing. So she really kind of like just went home. So I think she just missed the home cooking. And honestly, I thought once she got married, it was kind of a wrap. But she came back, and I'm happy for her. She becomes the first IWGP Women's Champion, and we get to see that fantastic elbow. I actually got to watch the match, and that match was actually pretty good. And it's cool for New Japan to add the women into the mix. So let's see what they can do with the division and see if they could actually build storylines in the division and see where it goes from there.
And, and you're absolutely right. It was a great match, but it's a kind of a little interesting that Mayu Iwatani, who is born bred dead stardom, isn't the first IWGP Women's Champion. While Kairi just came back like a couple of months ago from WWE, and she's the champion and not her.
I can see your point, but I could make the argument that Kairi is a bigger, even though no one knows her. Like Kairi can't use the name, but she certainly the face is way more recognizable globally than the latter.
True. And yeah, the Cross X Over was obviously a big event for New Japan because they are finally integrating the female wrestlers into New Japan. Do you think that this is going to be was this the first proper step of doing it?
It's probably the first proper step as far as New Japan, because when you think about it, a lot of the ladies were getting known with the only women's shows or only women's promotions, but they weren't really as big as New Japan. And what was happening is that the American television cycle was just usurping all that talent.
Right.
Think if New Japan had a women's division, do you think Asuka would have joined WWE? Or, you know what I mean? So you got to think of that, like a Tony Storm, or, you think of all those people who are trained in the strong style. Would they even been overseas had there already been a platform for them to reach globally like New Japan?
Now, we haven't talked about her in quite some time. Could this be New Japan's effort to get maybe a Sasha Banks to come over?
Wait, I gotta send it.
No, because Sasha, with Sasha using her name more in the acting scene, I think she's trying to get a bigger break in the Hollywood scene more so than wrestling. To me,
Interesting.
I mean, she'll always be a wrestler, but I don't think New Japan would have the cachet to pull a Sasha, and if they do, that's one hell of a pull.
I mean, what would it mean for New Japan to get Sasha Banks?
Everything. No, I'm dead ass. Like, think about it. Like Sasha Banks, it would be that's like WWE pulling Okada.
That's a pretty significant trade.
That would be a hell of a trade. But yeah, that's how that would look. And to me, I don't see Mercedes Sasha Banks. I don't see Sasha joining anytime soon. I think she's just gonna chill, try to be in the American scene. She's trying to be in the Hollywood scene, the actress scene. I think that's more of her.
Talking about trading places, on that same event, Kenny Omega challenged Will Ospreay for the IWGP United States Championship at Wrestle Kingdom. Um, Wrestle Kingdom 17 potentially could be the biggest event in all of pro wrestling. If they have New Japan wrestlers, WWE wrestlers, and Carl Anderson, New Japan wrestlers, and Kenny Omega, and not so important, but they could get Impact wrestlers as well. This could be like a WrestlePalooza of wrestling buffet, for that matter, of every company in one company doing one show. Do you see
True.
that being? Seeing being the
It
case?
could that could be the case, but as much as I hate to say it, WWE fans are more. I'd say the casual WWE fans are not as cognizant on the global scene. Like, I, let's say they do some WWE people to go over there. How much of a pull from the WWE audience do you think that's going to pull? Like 5, 10%? I mean, it's good in the sense of the business of wrestling to me, uh, which to me, that's the ultimate goal is to make sure that wrestling coexists globally on a platform, globally. So it'll be huge for New Japan to have everybody in one roof, but will it make any difference in the gate? Uh, Time will tell. Uh, I know the Kenny Omega Osprey match is interesting because Kenny Omega plays this. I'm here to save the company, and Will Osprey. As much as I don't like him, he had a great comeback. Go save your own company before you come to mine. So I must say that's one hell of a comeback. I got to give him that much, and so that match is going to be interesting in the sense that they already had that beef at AEW, and Kenny kind of had some words with him, so it just builds that story. And that's one thing I will say. New Japan, to me, sometimes they have the best stories because they don't just run it through in one sequence. They actually tell it in chapters. And that's what I love about New Japan.
Right.
Because they easily could have done the WWE thing, oh my god, or even the AEW thing. Oh my god, it's big on Twitter. Let's do it now. But think about that. That Kenny Omega Will Ospreay little thing was like a year and a half ago, maybe. I want to say it felt like a long time. It just like literally was on the back of our mind, and then when Kenny Omega pops out, it's like, oh shit, I remember that, right?
Right.
So that's what I love, the recall. They are really great at recalling and picking up the story where it left off.
Do you think this could potentially lead to Kenny doing more matches, or do you think this is a one-off? Because it does seem like the only reason New Japan even considered doing anything with with AEW was essentially to get Kenny Omega to come back to their company.
If it was anybody else, I would say no. But I think Kenny, even though Kenny's an outlier because he's the guy, he's the Canadian who is immersed in the culture more than most, right? So he kind of has a more of a fondness for New Japan than most, I would say, who would even go over there transactionally, right? Because even though the Bucks wrestle in New Japan, it never felt like the heart was in it, right?
Right.
Kenny Omega actually felt like his heart was in it, right? Because he speaks the language, he can translate, he does it all.
Most of his
So that's why
in Japanese.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's a little different from him because he actually he's in the culture, so it makes sense.
Does Kenny Omega win the United States Championship at Wrestle Kingdom?
That's the bigger question, right? I'm gonna have to think about that because as much as Will Ospreay, I don't think so because what would he gain by winning the belt other than the fact that he's back in New Japan, right?
So he's back in New Japan, and he was the first champion, and he would be essentially raising that championship back up to a higher level.
You know what? Considering that Moxley had the belt while he was in AEW, I wouldn't put it past you. I wouldn't put it past it. He literally had the belt on kidnapping status while he was at AEW, so I would put it past him. But then again, with the way FTR is walking around with the belts, I wouldn't be surprised if he won it.
Alright. Now to some WWE news, Mia Yim Yum is now Michigan. What is your thoughts on Mia changing her name? Because this seemed kind of out of nowhere.
Who knows? If that's how she feels, so be it. I'm not gonna. No, I can't read into why she would change it. And
Well, with a name like Michigan, she's not going to be popular in Ohio.
Especially considering the game is today, Ohio State, Michigan.
Yes.
True story about that. There was a coach who was a coach of Ohio State. He went to Michigan to recruit. He ran out of gas, and he literally pushed his car from Michigan to Ohio because he did not want to spend $1 in Michigan. That's how deep it is.
Wow.
But that's a whole.
Wow.
So there's your pop culture reference there for the kiddos.
And there's already obviously WrestleMania 40 will be in Philadelphia. We're skipping 41, 42, and there's already speculation that in 43, WrestleMania 43 will be in Nashville. What are your thoughts on WrestleMania skipping 2 WrestleManias to announce them being in a city? And what are your thoughts on Nashville being a WrestleMania town? if possible?
Well, being from the South, it's actually being from the South. Memphis is considered to some the unofficial wrestling capital of the world, and to be only 2 hours from that, because Memphis does not have the stadium that Nashville would have, because Nashville's building a new stadium, so that's why they're tearing down the one that they held in SummerSlam, and by the time it gets built, they will already have succeeded it. Also, Nashville is, in a sense, like New Orleans, in the sense that everything is walkable. And that is what most people really, really liked about it. I think when SummerSlam came to Nashville, people didn't think how easily accessible everything was, and how,
Right.
and it kind of blew them out the water. Like, hell, why we didn't do this here earlier? They always have done Raws and SmackDowns and shows in Nashville, and they would always show the city and town, because they would always do skits like literally across the street from where they would have it, right? So
Right.
to me, it was only a matter of when it would happen, because I mean, Nashville, Tennessee is in that bed pocket of fans who actually still will interact with the people, with the wrestlers, cheer and boo and whatever. Because trust me, Memphis has an energy unlike none other. Now, as much as I like Chicago, and I will put Memphis wrestling fans against anybody, because some people still think it's real. They still interact into it as if it's real. And that, to me, is what's missing. And you get that 500,000 people there, just to not even, let's say 10% of that comes. That's 50,000 right there, who are going to be really, really happy. So I think that's good. And plus, the South is also, economically, it's a lot better, because the money goes further, so people are more apt to spend. So I think it's a good choice down the line. And plus, my only question is what the weather's going to be, because it tends to still be a little on the chilly side when you're in Nashville or in the South in April, and if that stadium will be open roof or closed roof. Because if it's closed roof, then you're good to go. Open roof might be a little bit challenging.
Do you think SummerSlam being in Nashville this year really made them consider this?
Yep, because of the fact that they didn't think. Because the fact that they were doing SummerSlam at football stadiums now, the fact that they did it last year, they did it this year, and Nashville was hot, open door, and it was just like, you could tell the crowd was into it. And a lot of those people from the crowd I knew, because some of the people I knew went to it. So, and it was a great time. So people just, I think it opened their eyes to how accessible everything is. Because like Philly is the only spot, I think, in the Northeast where everything is walking distance. In a sense. Not, how can I put it? Because Philly has their stadiums all in one area, and same way as New Orleans is built, same way Nashville's built. So I guess they're erring on that side of caution, because we already talked about it. LA, it's gonna be a bitch. They're doing Raw in downtown, and they're doing WrestleMania in Inglewood.
Yeah.
So. And NXT is on Saturday. So let's put it this way. Going from NXT Saturday from downtown LA in the middle of traffic to Inglewood and getting those people there is a bitch. And same way with this year. Going from downtown Dallas to Arlington, Texas was a bitch. So, yeah, it was a bitch. It was a bitch. It was a bitch. So that's why I'm like, people they want to make this to where people can actually do everything in one area. If I have to go from one city to a whole other city, then that's where it kind of people still be happy, but it kind of loses the buzz. And I already know next year, people gonna be pissed because sitting on a bus for an hour and a half on the 10 freeway trying to get to goddamn Inglewood is not what you're trying to do on a Saturday morning or after any day on the weekend.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. All right, well, on the eve of on the eve, well, in a couple hours, Survivor Series is happening. Me and Scooter gave our predictions last year. What say you, Kalika?
Pull up my handy and dandy match card. I was on mute. My bad. I'll pull up pull up the handy dandy match card. See, that's what happens when you miss shows, kids. You get rusty. Anyway, my handy dandy match card. Let's see. Let's see. AJ versus Finn. Ooh, I'm gonna go Finn. Finn to win.
What I went with AJ just simply to end the Judgment Day rivalry on a high note.
Yeah, but I think the way that they use Judgment Day is almost kind of like, what's the point, right? Like, I wouldn't, like I always say, if you're gonna do something different, like with a new group, the only way people will take them serious is if they either A, are winning belts off the bat, or B, they are just so dominant that it doesn't make sense, right? Like, take example of the Shield, right? When the Shield formed, they were taken serious off the bat because they were pretty much unbeatable. And
Right.
then the belts gave them the credibility, right?
Right.
They're not really going that route with Judgment Day, at least to make it seem like that they're. Now, granted, I did see the video of what happened on Thanksgiving, which was dope as hell. That was funny as hell to me. Did you see it?
No, what happened on Thanksgiving?
Oh, so Dominic and Rhea went to his dad's house on Thanksgiving. It proceeds to beat the hell out of him in front of his mom and his siblings.
Okay then.
So I was like, see, but I only caught that because it was on the Twitter feed, right? I wish I had caught that like on, say, a SmackDown or a Raw, or you know what I mean?
I'm sure they'll replay it on SmackDown.
I'm pretty sure they will, but my point being is it wasn't something like, people don't forget live, right? Everyone wants to imagine that stuff live.
Right.
I felt like if that was live, that would have because think about it, like, no one's really taking Dominic serious about talking shit about his dad, but him doing that on a show live would be like, oh shit, this dude showed up to his dad's house and beat his ass in front of his mom, right?
Yeah.
like, that's kind of bizarre, right? To me, it's an opportunity miss. But I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad that I saw it. And I was like, oh shit, that's gangsta as shit. But, but that's a whole nother topic for another day. Let's see, the women's championship, it's Rousey. I love Shotzi, but Rousey's getting built for somebody else at Mania. Maybe a Rousey Baszler, I don't know. The U.S. title match is the hardest one to predict because I can make a case why each one should win.
I feel like Seth is the logical choice.
Seth is the logical choice, but to me, I think Theory is going to win.
because they've dropped him off the health?
Honestly, I think someone said this to me a while back. When Theory was the Money in the Bank winner, he was Mr. McMahon's version of what Theory wanted to be. I think Triple H is turning Theory into a version of what he wants him to be. And think about it. The fact that everything Theory said about cashing in that briefcase made absolutely 100% sense. Because even if he could, there was no way he was going to be able to catch any of them slipping. He wasn't going to catch. He couldn't catch Roman slipping at all. So it made total sense.
I mean, yeah, you're right, but it makes him look even more weak and like a chump. Because if he couldn't find a way to cash in on Roman, I mean, obviously nobody expected him to beat Roman. Nobody.
Right.
But
right.
just to say that you tried to cash in on Roman,
but he did. Remember?
No, I mean the actual match where he loses the Money in Bank, losing to Roman.
Well, what was that going to do? Like, I get the point here. I pick up what you're putting down. But keep in mind, he tried to cash in at Clash at the Castle, which was weird. Tyson Fury jumps in. He tried to cash in at SummerSlam, and Brock just said, "Fuck this shit." So, I mean, it wasn't like he didn't try.
I mean,
it's just every time he tried, shit literally came out the blue, like on his ass. Like, who would have thought Tyson Fury was just gonna knock him out while he's trying to, you know what I mean?
Right.
It made that made no sense.
You have a year to figure it out.
He had a year, but
he didn't. Yes, he tried, but he never tried hard enough. The fact that he actually tried to cash in and pin Roman once. You know, if this was anybody else, if this was Seth Rollins, he would have found a way. CM Punk would have found a way. Everybody that had that title, that briefcase at one point or another, they
found a way.
Found some type of way, and they could have made it look smart. Well, oh, he tried that, and it almost worked, but and kudos to him, he didn't get it. It just makes him feel. It just, to me, makes me feel like he's a lot weaker than they're trying to present him, because he cashed in on the United States champion and not the WWE champion.
I get it, but I think that it was just the beginning of a reset for him. And here's how I know it's a reset. Because keep in mind, every time, remember when he had the U.S. title and goddamn Bobby Lashley was chasing his ass and he was always trying to be the chicken shit heel way. But this time he stood up. And that's why I think it's more about changing what the people think of him, right? No matter how he cashed that in, the people would have thought of him as a weak. They were going to think of him being weak either way. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So the only way, let's say he cashed in and won. I mean, it was a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if he cashed in and won, they would have thought he was weak. If he cashed in and lost, they would have thought he was weak. I think Theory has a legit case to win it. I'm going to go Theory. And the reason I'm going Theory is because the only way that if Triple H does what I'm thinking, the only way you can take those new people seriously or the new mindset seriously is for him to legit win the belt. I can't, you know what I mean? And he's the afterthought. in these triple threat matches, the afterthought always ends up winning sometimes. I mean, not always, but they have a better chance than most when they're an afterthought. Because no one even thinking he's got a shot.
I could see your point on that. World Games women's match.
All right, War Games women's match.
I believe we're still waiting on the one more female for team Bianca.
Team, yeah, which I think it's Becky, but it made no sense why Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley would join Damage Control, but but I think my only problem with this is it would have made more sense for Raquel Rodriguez to be in this match than Mia Yim.
I think the women's is more exclusive, no?
Not really, because when you think about it, Bailey. Well, wait a minute. Io and Dakota are the champs. They crossing.
Not true. But the final when they wasn't champions, they wasn't wrong.
So okay, all right. So let's see. I think. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. I think the Bianca team is going to win because I think it would be. I think the only way they would win is if a Becky comes back. If a Becky comes back or Charlotte comes back, I can't see Charlotte coming back, but I do see Becky coming back. And Beth Phoenix. Maybe for Rhea, but I don't see it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't see it. But I think the women's, the faces. But you know what? Let me switch that. The heels will win for the women. The faces will win for the men, because the bloodline needs a beginning point to break it up, and I think the War Games match is the beginning point to break it up.
Me and Stu was saying the logical choice to lose that match is Sami Zayn.
I think the logical choice would be Jey Uso.
Okay, why?
Because it's the right-hand man. They've been planting these seeds about him not caring about... Because here's the problem. And I will say this. Sammy is exposed everybody's characters into this thing, right?
Right.
He exposed a point in Jey in which he's like kind of jealous of the fact that Sammy's getting more respect than him, even though Jey was the first one on board.
Right.
And it's like and that's why I think it makes more sense for Jey to lose, because when Jey gets pinned, Roman is already kind of on Jey's behind anyway, and that only magnifies it. Thus, them two becoming kind of back to where you remember when they went at it hard. So, thus, Jey being kind of pissed about trying to get in his mind right with Roman, the Usos cost themselves the belt. See, that's why I think it starts with him. He's the catalyst. And this whole time you got Sammy poking him. You see what I'm saying?
Right. But how do we get to 7-0 and Sami Zayn versus the Usos at Mania if Jey is taking the
Go sit in your bed.
I think it's going to happen sooner, to me, because the bloodline is the same way the bloodline was built, wasn't built like dominant in a day. It's going to take time to tear it down, right?
Okay.
So, to me, I think Jay losing, being the loser of the match, it goes into the Rumble. They lose the belts at the Rumble. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, it's a ripple effect, essentially.
A ripple. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the beginning of the ripple effect. Because keep in mind, everybody likes Sammy except two.
Jay.
So if Jay loses and he's already pissed that everyone likes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because and I see your point, because if Sammy loses, it would be Jay versus everybody. Either way, it's going to be Jay versus everybody. We're just going a different route with it, right?
Right.
Because either Sammy's going to lose and everybody's going to feel bad for him except Jay, or Jay's going to lose and he's going to be pissed at everybody because they're all on him. Either way can happen. But I think it starts with Jay. I think it starts with Jay, because I don't think... Because as much as Sammy always gets that little conflicted where he's like, but Jay's going to be the one to pay the price for it.
Okay. Alright, since,
Yes.
we'll conclude our talk on Survivor Series until next week when we review everything. Maybe you will be here, maybe you won't. Peace out.
Day two. Give it to me.
Keep that streak alive.
I got to keep it alive.
Alright, since good news now, and now a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.
Hey guys, this is Brutal Bob Evans from Hangs with Bob Seminars and TheWrestleLife.com, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.